Huh?
Are back now. Please reconnect. Yeah, Shiradkar was in July. Okay, someone has connected. We should actually use. So there's a, but I don't have LAN. Yeah, we need a laptop with LAN. Yeah. Okay, now 5 people are here. Okay. Hello, Pradeep. So there were some questions we missed because of the technical issue. Can you, those whose questions were not answered, can you please re-ask the question? Siddharth Sahu asks, hello sir, when can we book rooms? Rooms for?
I think that will be communicated by the admissions office.
Yeah, so the admissions office will communicate that with you about the room booking.
Explicitly, if you have been invited for an interview, then hostel accommodation will be provided. So the administration will get it.
Yeah, so Bhuvnesh, about which certificates to bring for the interview, please refer to the email that is sent about what documents to bring with you. If in doubt, then bring the document. So Pradeep's question was, if then can we conduct the external viva voce? So the theoretical answer is yes, you can. Practical answer is pretty much no one completes in 2 years. There's a lot of work involved in doing a PhD. It's not as if a simple project is assigned to you and you have to finish that. There's a lot of training that you will go through. So uh, one more query that I applied for RA, so you cannot change after selection. So your preference form has to be done before the admission process when you come here. So can anyone answer questions about solid state? So we have Professor Siddharth Talur here. He can answer questions about what are the research areas in solid state. Someone had asked that question. It was in the previous video. So in solid state, what are the research?
Is that an old question? Oh.
Yeah. So the question about cadence is yes, EE6 is the right stream to go into if you want to work in cadence. But in general, in PhD, we don't these EE6, EE7, E1. These are more rigid for masters. They are less rigid for PhD. You can actually do cross stream work within a PhD.
Hi, this is Siddharth Talur. I can answer questions related to EE5 or EE7. I think somebody had a question related to EE7 solid state devices. So if you are still there, if you are still online, maybe you can type your question and I'll be happy to answer that.
Research is going on in
Oh, I see. Okay. So I can maybe offer my perspective on what kind of research goes on solid state devices. But I think the best thing which you can do is also visit web pages of all the faculty that work in solid state devices and also go through their research interests and their papers. So broadly speaking, there's a wide variety of work that happens in solid state devices. There are a large number of faculty. There's some work happening in 2D materials, both for transistor as well as optical devices. So those kind of applications. I myself have some interest in MEMS and photonic devices. There are some other faculty that also work in MEMS sensors, photonic devices. There's some work that happens in spintronics, Two of our colleagues, Bhaskaran and Ashwin, work in spintronics. A lot of work in power semiconductor devices that's coming up uh, in gallium nitride as well as silicon carbide platforms. A lot of RF device work that happens again in gallium nitride. Dipankar Saha, Swarup Ganguly, and then Apu Laha, they work in that area. Um, the other sort of areas in solid state devices, there's quantum devices as well. Kasturi Saha works on Bhaskar also to some extent. A lot of solar cell related work. So Narendra Shiratkar, Pradeep Nair, not Ashwin, sorry, Anil Kutantre. So if I want to check out their profiles, if you're interested in solar cells.
Can I know how many vacancies are there for PhD in RF microwave and antenna section? Siddharth Sahu.
I think the exact communicated to you when you come here for the interviews. So before the written test, or perhaps after the written test, there will be an orientation session where all the project openings will be described. So all the faculty will come tell you about their projects, and they will tell you how many vacancies they have.
And then there is also some flexibility in TA category. So if there are more number of better candidates in one area, we do try to take more students in that area. So there is no like fixed demarcation that there are only so many vacancies in a particular area. Uh,
One question from Pradeep: is there any chance to get a project work under solid state devices from ISRO and DRDO? So what I can say is there are some funded projects here that are related to ISRO and DRDO. So some strategic sector power devices are some examples. Some work in RF devices as well for ISRO. Um, the specifics of what projects these are and what kind of opportunities are available, again, like I said, once you come here during that orientation session, you will get to know more. I do not know if your question actually meant that you are working either at ISRO and or DRDO and you want to apply for a PhD while you continue to work as a scientist at ISRO or DRDO. So if that was your question, then you should consider applying through the sponsored category. I believe that will let you retain your appointment with ISRO and DRDO while you work on the project here for your PhD.
Nesh is asking once if we are selected for signal processing, can we do research in solid state devices? So there is a good bit of flexibility given to PhD students, but it is not meant as a way to subvert the admission process of a particular group, right? So let's say you get admitted as a signal processing exam and interview. You are primarily expected to work with professors who are in signal processing and communication. It's possible that some of them are doing interdisciplinary research with solid state devices. In that case, you can definitely get involved. A complete change is also possible, but it is discouraged because you are supposed to show competence for a particular field for which you are admitted.
Right. So, and just to add to what Amit just said, I think the interview, so when you select a particular specialization for the interview, what we are trying to see is whether you are the right fit as a PhD student in that specialization. And our hope is that you are also perhaps trying to see whether IIT Bombay is the right fit for you if you want to work in that specialization. So, my sort of 2 cents there is use the interview process wisely. If you intend to work in a particular area, consider applying to that area so that you will sort of have a honest opinion about whatever you decide later.
In the preference form S1, only specialization in respective department we need to fill. In which form will the TA and RA position selection we will need to give? So that form will be provided to you when you come here.
While we wait for more questions, I think I'll mention some of the other research areas in solid state devices which I could not talk about. So there's some work that happens on reliability of devices as well. A lot of sort of interesting upcoming work in neuromorphic computing and sort of device and memory architectures related to that. And perhaps there's a lot more which I'm not able to recall right now. So my suggestion is look at faculty websites, read a few papers. Uh, if you have questions, I would even suggest contact the faculty, ask them so that you can decide whether or not that topic is what you really thought it was.
Are there any more questions? So we will give it a few minutes. If there are no further questions, then we will end the session. Anil is asking in the preference form S1 only specialization. Okay, sorry. Shraddha is asking in IIT Bombay, anyone working on DRA antennas? So, Siddhartha, you can check out Jayanta Mukherjee's page or Girish Kumar's page. These are the two people who work on antennas. Pradeep saying, sir, what is the difference between solid state devices and integrated systems and devices?
Yeah. So I think you mean solid state devices and integrated circuits and systems. So in solid state devices, most of the work happens at a level where the device physics matters, the device fabrication matters, the modeling simulation. These are sort of important aspects. Uh, and of course, then you look at device applications as well, but the focus is on the device technology and device design, device physics, and so on. Whereas in IC circuit or the ICS specialization, integrated circuits and systems, the focus is more on VLSI, uh, chip design. So somebody asked earlier about cadence for IC design. So there it's more at the fabless level is what I would say. So you are doing IC design, but the fabrication perhaps would be done at a foundry, so you would not be doing fabrication. And then your IC comes back, then you would test it and maybe demonstrate it in application. Whereas in solid state devices, maybe there are projects which you may get involved in where the device fabrication is also part of it. Process innovation could be part of it. Uh, so that I would say is the difference between the specialization. But if I did not answer your question, if you had something more specific in mind, maybe you can type. We can discuss that.
Is there any work going on FPGAs? So yes, there are quite a few people who work on FPGAs. So Sachin Patkar is one of them. He's an expert in FPGAs.
Add sort of one more comment there. I think so. When you say FPGAs, I do not know if anybody here is making new FPGA chips. So we are mostly all users of FPGAs, and I would encourage you to also look at faculty websites. Sachin Patkar's work is one of the main topics he focuses on is high performance computing. So if you were thinking of FPGAs for high performance computing, then maybe you want to check out his papers. Madhav Desai is another colleague who works with FPGAs, but then his focus is on using FPGAs to test out new processor architectures, and then they also work separately on digital VLSI design. So that sort of is related to the ICS specialization. So you work on processor architecture, takeoff and testing and so on. And then a whole bunch of us essentially work in embedded systems where we use FPGAs to demonstrate whatever application we are interested I, for example, some of my students will use FPGAs to demonstrate applications using those sensors. But then I do not do high performance computing. So my suggestion is to look at faculty websites that will give you information.
Vivek is asking, is there anyone working on brain signals? So if you mean by that, someone working on EEG, etc. So I don't know if anyone directly in our department is working on that, but there are people in other departments such as humanities, especially who work on functional MRIs and other brain signals. Personally, I have a toy EEG device which I use for one BTP, but other than that, I have not worked. On brain signals per se. There is Professor Shubhashish Chaudhary who works on haptic devices, which is different than brain signals, but somehow it is also related to like human-computer interaction and so forth. So if you take the broader topic of human-computer interaction, then there are more faculty in the department who work on that. Uh, Perhaps even Professor Raj Babu, to some extent, I also work on human-computer interaction.
One more comment I can again make to the brain signals question is uh, some of our colleagues are interested in biomedical signal processing. Now, they may not be working on projects related to brain signals right now, but they may have an interest. If you have an interest in a particular topic, uh, my suggestion is many of our colleagues are also interested. They may not have active projects, but if they find a willing student, they may be also quite interested in taking up.
If you are generally interested in signal processing, then you might find some more interesting problems after you come here. If you are not too set on brain signals, for example. So, can you please tell me research areas under nanotechnology?
So the solid state devices areas that I was talking about earlier. So yeah, so my suggestion is because the video recording of this will be available after this session is over, you can refer to that part again. So if you are interested in nanotechnology, EE7 solid state devices is perhaps the specialization you want to look at and look at the faculty pages there. And earlier in this video, I already talked about some of them and you can look at that video.
The interviews are on 4th December. December. Will it be completed on that day or will it move to the next day? So the written test is on 4th and the interview is on 5th. So please plan for those 2 days. And most likely it will finish on 5th night. We try not to spill it over to the next day.
We'll give it 1 or 2 more minutes. If you have more questions, please type them. Otherwise, if we don't see more questions, we may end this already.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It was great interacting with you. Hope to see you all here and hope your queries were answered. And wish you all the best in your career choices. Thank you.